famous comedian Jeff Ross had a terrifying supernatural experience. While working as a writer for The Man Show on Comedy Central and doing stand-up at the Comedy Store, Ross was living in LA and had just bought a Porsche convertible. Living the Hollywood dream, Ross was finding success. He was sleeping on a friend's couch while looking for an apartment. His real estate agent shows him this one apartment on the 9th floor with a beautiful view of Hollywood. It's perfect. He says, "I'll take it." At which point his agent Sylvia responds, "Well, I have to disclose the prior tenant killed himself." Jeff feels a cold energy, a chill run through him, and almost immediately passes on the apartment. He doesn't take the apartment. Something just feels off. A couple of days later, Sylvia calls and says she has another apartment on the same floor, the 9th floor, but a different apartment. He goes over, takes a look, and bam, rents it on the spot. Signs the lease. Jeff loves the apartment. He's smoking cigars on the balcony, having parties, girls are coming over, and he's just living the Hollywood life, just having a great time. As time passes, he notices that the apartment he first looked at is still empty. No one has rented it. It seems like it's been empty forever. And then finally it gets rented by a gentleman who is an actor and a waiter. Jeff met him one day, soon after he moved in, while riding the elevator. And he seems like a nice guy. His name is Rob. And Jeff asks him, "Hey, did they tell you about the guy, about what happened in the apartment you rented?" And Rob says, yeah, they gave me a good deal on the rent, and it didn't seem to bother him too much. And he would see him once in a while, dancing in his apartment or out on his balcony, and they would give a nod or a wave. They were both starting out in Hollywood at this point, so there was a sense of camaraderie there. But in Jeff's words, his thing was working, but Rob's wasn't. Rob was struggling. So a year goes by, and he no longer sees Rob dancing. Instead, he notices him more and more just sitting in his apartment alone. Jeff leaves for a trip on the road and returns a few weeks later, and as he's entering the apartment building, he notices there's no one around. No one at the pool, no one in the lobby, no one playing tennis. It just seems empty, like it's completely deserted. And he starts wondering if it's a holiday or something maybe, and he just forgot about it, and that's why there's nobody around. And so the next day he asks the head of security, "Hey, where is everybody? Why is this place such a ghost town?" And the security guard replies, "You haven't heard?" "No, heard what?" "Your neighbor?" "Rob?" Rob killed himself. And half stunned, Jeff says, "You're messing with me." He said, "No, he jumped off the balcony." Rob had climbed over the railing of his balcony and fell, ending his life. 2 people in that same apartment both end their lives, one right after the other. Jeff is shocked by the news, and he reports that in the days that followed, he was so creeped out by the whole thing that he just stopped going out on the balcony altogether. A few days pass, and one night Jeff is lying in bed. He notices the room suddenly darken as if someone had stepped in front of him. Although his eyes were closed, it almost felt as if he could see this shadow fall across his face. Startled, he sits up in bed, surveying his surroundings for any sign of an intruder, but there is none. No sound, no movement. Yet he still has this overwhelming feeling that he is not alone. He just has this feeling like someone is there in the room with him. There's a thickness in the air, almost like body heat, and he can't help but feel like he's being stared at. But eventually, he manages to fall back asleep. Then, at around 3 in the morning, he awakens abruptly. There's this howling sound, almost like distant screaming. It's chilling, like this howling is trying to wake him up. And as Jeff is trying to shake off his sleep and surmise what is going on, he thinks to himself, did I leave the balcony door open? But no, he hadn't been out there in weeks. Then all of a sudden he hears this loud bang coming from the living room. He tries to shake it off. There are hundreds of people living in the building. Maybe the sound came from another apartment. And then BAM! Another loud bang. And it sounds almost like someone inhaling, and then bang! Something slamming into the wall. Bang! Bang! So he gets up, he has to check it out, but at this point he's terrified. He's literally shaking. So he slowly walks towards the living room. He has this big picture of John Lennon hanging on one of the walls, and he now sees it rising up and bam, slamming back down into the wall, like it's pivoting on its hanger, and the bottom is being lifted up and dropped back against the wall with force. And he can hardly process what he's seeing. Is he dreaming? He is so scared that he runs back into his bedroom, crawls under the covers, and curls up in the fetal position. He is paralyzed with fear. He can't move. He can't get up. His mind is racing. He can't call anybody because his phone is in the other room. He's trapped. He isn't sure how long he laid there, but he just listens to this picture banging into the wall, over and over. Bang! Bang! And as he's laying there, he realizes this is really happening. He's being haunted, and he has to do something. And he got this sense that this spirit, Rob, that he wanted to be recognized. So at about 4 a.m, he finally musters up the courage to get out of bed and confront this spirit. He gets up and walks with quick determination over to the balcony door and swings it open. And he says out loud, "Why are you doing this to me?" He speaks calmly and firmly. "What did I do to you?" And things start to quiet down. He just gets this feeling like he needs to talk to whatever presence this was, this tortured soul, as if speaking to a friend. So he says, "I'm sorry for what you went through. I'm sorry I wasn't here when you jumped. I'm sorry you had to go through this agony. I will remember you." And he slowly felt a calm wash over him. He then lit up a cigar, and then he lit another one for Rob, and he threw it off the balcony into the wind. And he thanked him. He said, "Thank you for reminding me I've got it good." It was as if Rob was sending him a message to appreciate what he had and where he was in his life. And from that night forward, things were calm in Jeff's apartment once again. If you've enjoyed this inane drivel, please take a moment to gaze longingly at the like button before jumping up from your chair and abruptly leaving the room. And whatever you do, for God's sake, do not press the subscribe button. There is a shadow in my room, and it seems to grow larger with each new subscriber my channel gains. I fear that in time, it may overtake me. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.